What's up, YouTube? I'm here to do my prediction video for UFC 228. Let's start at the bottom. The first fight is Jeff Neal versus Frank Camacho, and to me, striking-wise, Jeff Neal's probably cleaner technically, but I feel like grappling-wise, Camacho's got a big advantage. I also feel like at welterweight, Camacho's got much better conditioning than he did at lightweight. This kind of just depends on who can keep it where, but I do feel like sooner or later Frank's going to drag it to the ground. I think if he can get on top, he should be able to win with a submission. So I'm leaning towards Frank to win by submission. Next is Jared Brooks versus Roberto Sanchez, and to me, Roberto Sanchez just looks like a decent jiu-jitsu guy, but other than that, he's just mediocre. I think Jared Brooks is the much better wrestler. I don't think Roberto's going to be able to take him down, and Jared looked like his striking improved a lot in his last fight, and I think that if Jared can just keep this standing and outbox him, I think Jared's going to win by either decision or knockout in the first or second round. Next is Irene versus Lucy. I can't say these chicks' last names, but I'm leaning slightly towards Irene. Both these chicks are strikers, and it's hard to tell how great they are because they've just looked okay against their competition, but to me, I feel like Irene has at least fought some better people, so I'm leaning towards her just slightly. And yeah, like I said, I think it'll be a close fight, close decision, but I'm slightly leaning towards Irene. Next, we got Jim Miller versus Alex White, and Alex White's probably the better striker overall, but I feel like his takedown defense is not that great, and I feel like if Jim Miller can get it to the ground, he should be able to dominate this fight. I do feel like Jim Miller's getting up there, and this is probably going to be one of his last fights. I mean, if he can't win this fight, he should retire, but I've still got some hope that he's got some gas left in the tank, and I think he'll get a takedown in the first round and probably mount this guy and either win by TKO from strikes on the top, or when Alex gives his back, he'll win by rear naked choke. So I got Jim Miller by first round submission. Next is Diego Sanchez versus Craig White, and to me, I feel like Craig White is just not UFC level. I feel like he got that one fight because he took it on short notice. His record is just super mediocre, and unless Diego Sanchez is completely done, which I don't think he is, because he did win a couple fights recently against some decent people, I think Diego, if he can just use his wrestling, he should be able to take this guy down a shitload, and he's not going to get submitted by Craig White. Craig White's primarily a jiu-jitsu guy, and I don't think he's going to catch Diego. I feel like Diego should be able to hit the takedowns and just beat him up with ground and pound, and I wouldn't be surprised if Diego gets like a second round finish from TKO with like ground and pound strikes. Onto the FX prelims. The first fight is Charles Byrd versus Darren Stewart, and to me, Darren Stewart's not that impressive. I feel like he basically just caught the guy he fought in his last fight. He was losing that fight, and he's 0-3 in the UFC with that one win, so he's 1-3. I feel like Charles Byrd will be able to take Darren Stewart down whenever he wants, and once he takes him down, he's going to submit him really quick with either an arm triangle or rear naked. And like I said, I don't think this gets out of the first round. I think Charles Byrd takes him down really fast and just wins by submission in the first. Next, we got Jimmy Rivera versus John Dodson, and this fight should be on the main card. Like, this is no joke. This is probably the third best fight on the card overall, but for some reason, it's down here. But this is the toughest. This fight is super tough because it's basically just, you know, two guys that fight very similarly. They both fight at a high pace. They don't get hit a lot, and they throw very clean, and they have good defense. I'm leaning ever so slightly towards Jimmy Rivera just because I think he has the slightest edge in cardio, but I feel like these guys are virtually dead even everywhere. I think Jimmy Rivera is just a little bit bigger, and if Jimmy Rivera needs to, I think he has the wrestling advantage, so he might be able to hit takedowns every now and then just to slightly edge out the rounds in his favor. So I'm going with Jimmy Rivera by a close decision. Next, we got Aljamain Sterling versus Cody Stamann, and to me, I felt like Cody Stamann lost his last fight to Brian Caraway, and I feel like his striking looked good, but his grappling was just okay overall. I think Aljamain Sterling has much better striking overall than Brian did. His grappling with Brian's, they were basically dead even when they fought, but Brian was just able to get more dominant positions because he had more experience. I feel like Aljamain's gotten better since then, and this is going to be like Cody's last fight, except I don't think he's going to be landing as much strikes because I think Aljamain's better at keeping the fight at distance. I think one of two things. Aljamain's just going to be able to keep it at distance, or they're going to be grappling, and Aljamain's going to have the advantage because he's a better grappler. I just don't really see Aljamain losing this fight because Cody Stamann doesn't have a lot of KO power. And I just think Aljamain's going to edge out every round and win a 30-27 decision. Next is Carla Esparza versus Tatiana Suarez, and this fight's super tough just because we're going to see how good Tatiana Suarez is in this fight. Because if she can take down Carla Esparza like how she hasn't been with her last few opponents, then she's someone who could fight for the title, in my opinion, right after this fight. Because if she could do that to Carla, that'd be fucking amazing. I don't know if that's going to happen, and I do think Carla is the better boxer overall. But it's hard for me to go against Tatiana just because of how dominant she's looked. So, like I said, this is the fight we're really going to see if she's going to be able to do that to top flight competition. I'm guessing she will be, but if she can't, then she needs to work on her striking. Because, like I said, if Carla can't keep her off of her, and it's a straight boxing fight, Carla's going to win 30-27. But if Tatiana can do what she does to everybody else, it's going to be 30-27. And I'm just leaning towards Carla, just because I haven't seen any reason to doubt that she can't keep doing that to everybody else. So I'm leaning towards Carla getting, I mean, not Carla, but Tatiana winning by decision. Next is Abdullah Al-Sahan versus Nico Price. And to me, Al-Sahan is a great striker and great grappler overall, but his conditioning is shit. And I feel like if Nico Price can just keep this in the clinch against the fence and just wear him out, he should be able to get a finish sooner or later. I think Nico Price is the much better striker overall. It's just Al-Sahan's got the speed and power advantage. Like I said, I think overall, in their overall game, I think Nico Price is better. I think his overall grappling game, even though the wrestling might not be as good, and his conditioning is definitely way better. So I'm leaning towards Nico. I think he gets like a third round KO just because eventually Al-Sahan's going to slow down. Once he does, I think Nico's just going to start putting the pace on him and win by TKO in the third. Next is Jessica Andrade versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz. And to me, I feel like Andrade is going to do what she does in pretty much every fight. She's just going to keep the pressure on her, pick her up, throw her down. You know, Karolina might be able to work back to her feet every now and then, but I think for the most part, I mean, this is no offense, but Karolina got submitted by fucking what's-her-face not that long ago. I can't remember her name, but we've seen her takedown defense is really good, but once you get her to the ground, she's not the greatest at getting back up. And I think this is going to happen. I think sooner or later, once Jessica Andrade does get the takedown, I think she's just going to be on top of her, beating her up, and she's either going to catch her with a guillotine or a rear naked choke. So I got Jessica Andrade winning by either first or second round submission. Next is Zabit, can't say his last name, versus Brendan Davis. And, you know, props to Brendan Davis for taking this fight on short notice, but this is going to be like his last fight when he fought that Peruvian dude who I like a lot, who should be undefeated. The striking is going to be even, but Zabit's going to hit takedowns whenever he wants and just going to edge out every round. I don't think this fight's going to be any different than Brendan's last fight where, you know, he might even win the striking by a tiny bit, but he's not going to be able to stop the takedowns. And he might be able to get back up, but he's just going to get pushed against the fence and, you know, grind it out there for 3 rounds. So I got Zabit winning by a clear-cut 30-27 decision. Next, in the co-main event, we got Nico Montana versus Valentina Shevchenko. And to me, I feel like this is just, you know, Valentina's going to beat her ass. I feel like striking-wise, these chicks might be close. I still feel like Valentina's way better. But even if they're dead even, I think that Valentina's ability to get to the ground is really good. And I also think if it's on the ground in any position, whether Valentina's on top or on bottom, she's way better than Nico. You know, Nico was winning that whole fight against Roxanne Modafferi, and then in the fist, she almost got caught by an armbar when Roxanne, like, jumped guard. I just feel like there's a huge advantage for Valentina on the ground. And I feel like as soon as Valentina decides to take it there, she's going to win. Whether it's rear naked choke or armbar or whatever, or ground and pound. Like I said, striking-wise, these chicks will be about close. I don't think either one of them has a ton of knockout power. They're more volume chicks. So like I said, this all just depends on whenever Valentina takes it to the ground. I think whenever she does take it to the ground, in whatever round, that's the round she's going to finish her, as long as she does it early in the round. So I got Valentina Shevchenko winning by submission in whatever round she decides to take her down. Next, and finally, main event, we got Tyron Woodley versus Darren Till. And I have not been impressed with Tyron Woodley since he beat Robbie Lawler. I feel like his last 3 fights have all been kind of shitty. I feel like, you know, even the good draw, it was just this kind of slow-paced fight with 2 good rounds. You know, he really just fights this really slow fight, and I mean, I think that's just going to favor Darren Till. I think Darren Till's the much better striker, and I feel like Darren Till can do what Rory McDonald did, just, you know, walk him down against the fence and just throw jabs and teeps. I mean, you know, Tyron Woodley does the same thing. He just kind of puts his back up against the fence and tries to rush you, and it's like, if he can't get you with that blitz, I don't think he's that impressive. And we've seen guys who, you know, there's a reason why he's got like 3 or 4 losses on his record. It's not impossible to beat him. He doesn't have high output, and he kind of just does the same thing over and over again. I think Darren Till's much better striker than Tyron Woodley is, and I feel like, you know, if Tyron Woodley just tries to wrestle him, he can't do that for 5 rounds. His conditioning's not good enough. So I feel like as long as Darren Till doesn't get caught with that huge bomb, then he should be able to edge out every round just by, throwing a decent amount of strikes. So I just have Darren Till winning every round because of Tyron Woodley's low activity and the same shit he does. He just walks against the fence and kind of lets people, edge out the rounds. Either way, I got Darren Till winning by decision. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe.